How to become a high value top performer as a career starter. That's one of the mentoring asks or requests that I've gotten from the group, and I've got a couple of materials to share with you. There are some posts, LinkedIn posts that I've done regarding performing at a high level. I think there was one around resilient top performer, talking about how even when you come to a point in your career where there's rejection, you're facing some things at work, you are still able to pull through and still deliver top quality work. I think I've talked about quantity and quality, maintaining quality even though your turnover of projects is really high. And I've talked about what high performance means to me. So I'll probably just go look for all of those posts and send them across. And I think I've done some videos also around how to remain a top performer. So I'll link that as well. But the first and most important thing I want you to know is this: I want you to be intentional. So, if you must remain a consistent top performer, your intentions will have to be very clear to everybody and to yourself. And when I mean intention, I mean everything. Everything matters. Everything. So, for instance, if you've been told to deliver a task on a Friday, for instance, you will deliver that task on a Friday or before that Friday. And if there is anything that is going to stop you from delivering that task, you will be communicating it ahead of time. You'll be so intentional about how you deliver your work and how you're perceived. And you'll be so intentional about how you show up to situations. Everything matters. If you want to remain that consistent top performer, everything matters. And I think I did a post around everything matters. So let me make sure that I do not forget all these things I said. I'll link through for you. What performance means is another one, and hopefully I remember and then I can link them. So you have to be intentional, because if you focus on something, your intention, then you're just basically intentional. You are step by step by step, everything that needs to be done, you are taking care, utmost care, to make sure that you are using every situation to reframe and refit who you are in that organization. So you have to be very intentional about your experience and about everything that you want to do, as little as where you work, in the office or at home remotely, whatever that case may be. Just know that everything matters and you have to be intentional about everything. I'm going to say something quite with a big question mark, right? A top performer is not necessarily the person who is the most intelligent. That is not what a top performer is. A top performer is not the person who is the most intelligent, who is who has the who is the biggest on feeling in the puzzle. A top performer is not necessarily the best at resolving technical issues. They are not necessarily the ones who bring in the biggest clients or the biggest customers. So don't think that you have to be number one. Like when it comes to an area, you have to be number one for you to be a top performer. That is far from the truth, because being a top performer at work has different sides to the pie. Other than the fact that you need to be hardworking, you need to also be smart. You need to know how to negotiate and renegotiate your time. You need to be top notch with communication, and you need to continue to grow your communication, because with communication, you can get people to your side. You can get people to trust you. You can get people to do your bidding. With communication, you can make someone who was initially angry with you to now relaxed to work with you. You can get clients over to your side with communication. So there's the aspect of communication, that there is people management, right? There's people management. So your ability to manage others, your ability to manage people, your ability to work with people ahead of you, managing up, managing down, managing your peers. There is also the aspect of, where do I get the answers? Your ability to know where to get the answers when there is an issue is important. Then your ability to manage your emotions, although it is painful, although it is hard, although people are not seeing things in your own way, but how are you able to manage that situation without making it escalate, blow up in everybody's faces and all of that? So there are the pie is very big, and there are lots and lots of sides to it. So when I say top performer, I'm not referring to the biggest person on technical stuff. That's not it. Is someone who, as an individual, is fully loaded, like you're fully branded. You're fully you're a fully branded professional. When it comes to any side of it, you are doing well. Technical, sales, marketing, public speaking, ability to convince others, ability to persuade others. However you're looking at it, you are solid, right? So there is a lot of bits and pieces to it. So don't only think that, oh, for me to be a top performer, it means that my work has to be 101% for it to be. So your work can be 70%, 80%. Your other areas as well can be 70%, 80%. When you fit everything together, you are that person that is just so hard to say to relegate you to the background. Okay, so you have to keep developing every aspect of your work. You have to keep developing every aspect of your interactions so that you can remain that valuable staff or that valuable professional. I guess another thing I will say to you is this: you are not a top performer until people say that you are. Is quite like, what? You're not a top performer until people actually, that the real guys, the decision makers, your senior colleagues actually call you that. You're not that. It doesn't matter whether you think you're brilliant. Maybe from school you finish you finish with the first class. You all of that nice and dandy stuff. Until those who matter say that you are a top performer, in the scheme of things, realistically, I'm not trying to be inspirational now. I know that I do that very well, but that's not where I'm going. I'm talking about proper reality of stuff right now. Until the people who matter, the people who will review you, the people who will give you feedback, until they tell you that you're a top performer, you are not a top performer. And that's why you need to work on how you're perceived. I think I made a video around, it was a video or a post. I think it was a post on perceived value is greater than your inherent value, because how you're perceived is the truth. Now, intuitively, or in all retail, in the real term, it may not be 100% true, but that is the reality, because how you're perceived is who you are. That is what will go into the books. If they even if you're so brilliant, if you're first class, you're so good, you can quickly do things quickly, you can sort things out quickly and all of that. But if the people you work with don't like you, they can write on your report whatever they choose to write, on your feedback, whatever it is they choose to write, and they would basically pretty much send that over to you, right? They'll send that over to you and they will say, oh, even though we know you can do A, B, C, D, E, but C, you're not doing it great, right? So you must understand that people are important, and how you are perceived by people is the whole truth. Having that at the back of your mind, every single thing that you do that you're intentional about has to carry that weight of people. So you need to think about it, that what can I do that gives me the biggest visibility? What can I do that if I do it well, the people that I report to will be happy? So you want to think about all of those things. So it's beyond you just saying, oh, just facing your laptop, I'm working. Top performing guys are not just those who solve technical problems. They are those that are seen to be fully formed professionals. And they have been perceived to be at their best, pretty much. So you want to work with people, you want to leverage people, and part of that is you want to use people to solve the problems you have, because no matter how brilliant you are, you can't solve all the problems. So you want to know at work who can help me solve a technical problem. For instance, you want to say, okay, who can help me solve a social problem, who can help get me into that networking event, who is best at this, who is best at that. You want to identify those people such that when you and then identify them, then build genuine relationships with them. Okay, when you build genuine relationships with them, when you then need them to come through for you, it will be so easy to ask them for one or two sort of help, and they'll be able to show up for you. Okay, if you want to remain a top performer, you want to stay on top of happenings within your organization and outside of your organization. As much as it impacts your work, you want to stay on top of what's going on. Okay, what's going on at work, what's going on, what is going on in the news right now that impacts the work that I'm doing. There could be a news around a new government policy that is impacting your own clients or your own customers, or your own company as it is. Do you understand it? Eye level, do you understand it? So when you hear people talk about happenings and how it impacts your organization, don't just keep quiet. If you don't know it, then go and read about it and make sure that you're on top of things, so that when you get into those rooms, you can add your own ideas, your own opinions, you can add it to the conversation. And that's how you begin to fit into. So someone is thinking, oh, we have this problem. Definitely Aura will have an idea. Definitely Aura should be able to get us across the board. Okay, so you want to stay on top of trends. You want to understand it when things are being said. Okay. Another thing I will say is, I've talked about business communication before, but you have to learn how to speak up. And this is not just basically speaking up about your work. It's also speaking up about the work of others as well. You need to show interest around you. I did a video about intentional and interested. So intentional and interested is another video you may want to watch. It will set you up to being perceived as a top performer, because you're intentional about your work. You're also interested about the work of others as well. And if something is going on in your organization, someone is talking about something and you have an idea, or you've seen it before, or you have some thoughts, now is a good time to share those thoughts. Now is a good time to talk about it. And that does not necessarily mean you're a chatterbox. You don't need to be talking all over everybody. But in those meetings, you could say, oh, could I share? Or you could just go ahead and share. You can just go ahead and share what your thoughts are. Okay? So you want to speak up in meetings, if possible, except it's just a meeting where you go to observe, to learn. Do not wait until someone starts tapping you. What do you think? What do you think? Speak up. It's fine. Just say what you've got. Say what you think. 90% of the time you'll be right and you'll be contributing value. So you don't want to lose that value, okay, that you are able to contribute. I'll say this, even though you are a career starter and you're just starting off, learn to negotiate your time. Your time is a resource that nobody else can give to you. It's like your life. Nobody can give it to you. Like you can't really buy it back. So renegotiate your time. Even as an experienced manager, in fact, that's the biggest skill that I am on top of now. Renegotiating my time. I need my time because I need to be doing important things. So even though something looks like, oh, I could quickly do it. If I quickly do it, then it gets done. But if I'm doing that task, then I'm taking my focus away from what is more important. Do you get that? So as a career starter, Some of the things you can do is to say, oh, I've got these 5 tasks on my plate. Which of them do I do now? Talking about your priorities, to buy back your time, to buy back your peace of mind. You need to talk about all those things so that you can be seen, number one, as being centered and balanced, and at the same time proactive, interested, very careful about their performance. So all of those things matter really. So you just want to make room for what is important. And when I say make room for what is important, if there is a piece of work that goes to your managers, that goes to your leaders, and is very important, you can see that they find it very, very important, you want to focus on those pieces and do it well. So if there are some other pieces that, although important but not as important, you want to negotiate to do it later so you can focus on what's important. Those are ways by which you begin to come top of mind as being centered, balanced, very on top of what they're doing and the rest. Okay. Please, 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 and please reduce the errors in your work. No matter how brilliant you are when it comes to people, managing people and all of that, if your work is rubbish, even if you are good with human relations, your work is very fundamental. I get the people who focus only on the work and they forget the human side, but they may still thrive. Maybe their growth may be dwarfed, but they may still thrive. But if your work is rubbish, even if you have fantastic human relationship, you may not go anywhere. So you have to make sure that when you do any piece of work, you check it, double check it, and take your time to make sure that your work is well put together. If you have not had time to check it properly and you are pressed for time to share it, but don't share it as though you're done. Share it and say, I'm just sharing this because to give you enough time to look at it. I am still reviewing this work, I'm still looking through this report, but you can add your comments and I will address everything at the same time. You have to put that caveat there so they know that, okay, you're not done. But if you send it as though you're done and they are seeing simple errors that a toddler would catch, then that's not going to reflect positively on you. So you want to think about that. Just off the top of my mind, excellence and being a top performer is hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work. And I get how people say, oh, work smart and all of that. I'm for that as well. Like, if my work could be done in 3 minutes, please, I don't want to do it in 3 hours. But at the same time, before you find that process that streamlines everything for you, you would have gone needed. Someone somewhere would have invested those hours. So there's still no way you can. And I mean, another perspective from my view is, even if you're working smart, still put in the hours so that your turnover can be really high. And for you as an individual, you're learning, you're building yourself up, and you can almost get to the point where it is almost impossible to get rid of you, except you up and leave. And even when you're upping to leave, people will feel the bite because you are so special. And excellence is a lifestyle. If you're excellent at work, pretty much be excellent in almost every area of your life. It's a lifestyle, because once you focus on something, you get it done to the best of your abilities. So if you decide from today to say, I am no longer going to be an underperforming professional, I'm going to be on top of my things. And look, I'm going to take a couple of steps back again. Being a top performer, you can miss it if you don't focus on the tiny things. See, a lot of people will be like, they'll focus on the big tasks. They will leave small things. They will leave their emails. They won't read their emails. Their bosses will be chatting with them. They would not respond. They will take a piece of work that would take a day, they would take 1 week. They would turn back very, rubbish output, and they would not take the initiative to go and check if someone has done something similar, and at what level of excellence could you find in those pieces of work. Let me tell you another thing is, if you did the same report last month and you did that same report this month and you did not change anything in the report, you're not planning to grow. Something has to change. As small as the form, as small as a dot, one more sentence, one more graph, something that provides extra insight. That's how you grow. That's how you become phenomenal. If we did it in PDF last year, or we did it as a Word document last year, why is it not in Excel this year? Why is it not in Dex this time around? You must always think of a way to improve on something you had done previously. I mean, that's how to grow. So those would be my thoughts. I will link through all the things that I've said. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Take care and see you later.